Most people think life is a fair game. Work hard, be kind, stay honest, and things will fall into place. But look around. Really, pay attention. The loudest people win the room. The coldest people hold the power. The most strategic people control the outcomes, and the rest, they spend their lives confused, exhausted, and wondering why nothing ever goes their way. The truth is harsh, but it will set you free. 90% of people are not thinking. They're reacting. They aren't choosing. They're obeying. They don't have a strategy. They have impulses. But the remaining 10%, the quiet ones, the observant ones, the ones who move deliberately, they see the world differently. They don't chase respect. They command it. They don't defend themselves. They don't explain. They don't leak emotions. They don't play the game everyone else is trapped in. They study it, they master it, and they bend it to their advantage. Don't take my word for it. Look around you. Really look. Pick any room. An office, a dinner table, a party. Imagine 10 people in that space. The uncomfortable truth is this: 9 of them aren't truly awake. They move through life on autopilot. They react instead of think. They wait for approval, fear silence, cling to comfort, and let emotions drag them around like puppets. They believe they are choosing, but they're not. Their biology chooses for them. Their past chooses for them. Society chooses for them. They are pieces on a board, not players. But then there is the 10th person. 1 out of 10. This person watches the entire game while everyone else stumbles through it. They notice the tension in a room before anyone speaks. They catch the motive behind a smile. They understand what people want before those people admit it to themselves. They don't chase approval. They look for leverage. They don't fear chaos. They turn it into opportunity. They're not reacting to the board. They're arranging it. And unless you learn to think the way they do, you will always be playing someone else's game. Most people spend their whole lives confused about why things don't work out for them, why their effort goes unnoticed, why louder, colder, or more ruthless people get ahead while the kind and hard-working are left behind. They tell themselves it's unfair or unlucky, but the truth is colder. They were trained to be harmless, raised to be agreeable, conditioned to be predictable, taught to be the prey. Machiavelli was one of the few who spoke honestly about human nature. He didn't write about how life should work. He wrote about how it actually works, and he understood a rule most people ignore. If you insist on being purely good in a world that is not good, you will be crushed. This does not mean you must become evil. It means you must wake up. It means stepping out of the 90% who react and stepping into the 10% who think. What you're about to learn is a set of tools for your mind. Psychological tools. Tools that reveal how the world truly works behind the curtain. Tools that expose the illusions you've been using as protection. Illusions like fairness and vulnerability. Those things have value, but not the way you think. And if you use them blindly, they will fail you. Badly. By the time you finish this journey, you will not see the world the same way. When you walk into a room, you won't just see people, you'll see agendas. You'll see leverage. You'll see roles and patterns and weaknesses. You'll see the invisible strings pulling the entire scene. And for the first time in your life, you will be the one holding the strings. But understand this, once you see the game, you will never unsee it. Let's get into it. First illusion that ruins careers, relationships, and reputations is the dreaming syndrome. Let's say you walk into negotiations or arguments acting on how you believe people should behave. You assume, if I'm honest, they'll be honest. If I work hard, they'll notice. If I'm loyal, they'll be loyal. This is the idealist's trap, and it is deadly. Machiavelli warned that the man who tries to be good in a world full of people who are not will suffer. He never said goodness is wrong. He said being naive is dangerous. Walking into a lion's den wearing a smile will not protect you. The 90% project their values onto others. If they want fairness, they assume others do too. If they care about feelings, they assume others will care about theirs. If they value loyalty, they assume betrayal is rare. But betrayal is normal. Self-interest is universal. Even kindness is often selfish. People help others because it makes them feel good. When you understand this, life stops shocking you. You stop asking emotional questions like, how could they hurt me? And start asking strategic ones like, what did they gain? Answers to that question will tell you everything. The Machiavellian thinker is never surprised. Not when a boss fires them to save money, not when a partner leaves for someone with higher status, not when a friend gossips for attention. They expect human nature to follow its nature, and that realism keeps them safe. Ask yourself who survives the ocean. The man who believes the waves are kind, or the man who respects their power. The realist builds a boat, the dreamer drowns. This is the shift. Stop listening to words, watch actions. Words are masks, words are weapons, words are bait. But actions never lie. If someone says, I care about you, but their behavior says, you're optional, believe the behavior. If a job says, we're family, but treats you as replaceable, believe the treatment. Once you stop expecting the world to follow your morals, it loses its power to manipulate you. You become immune to guilt, trips, flattery, and lies. In a room full of people dreaming aloud, the one who sees clearly becomes king. Now we move to the second weapon, silence. The modern world is drowning in noise. Everyone is talking, posting, arguing, venting, explaining. People think that by talking more, they gain influence. But in reality, every extra word gives away information. Every explanation reveals insecurity. Every argument exposes a weakness. Machiavelli understood that the person who speaks least often holds the strongest position because silence forces others to react. Try this. Next time someone finishes a sentence, don't respond. Hold eye contact. Stay quiet for 4 seconds. Watch them panic. Silence makes people feel exposed. They interpret silence as judgment, as dominance. They start filling the void with real thoughts, real fears, real motives. Silence is a vacuum that forces truth to the surface. Learn to use it. And when someone attacks you, accuses you, mocks you, questions your decisions, your instinct is to defend, to explain, to justify. That instinct is exactly what traps you. When you defend, you validate the attack. You show the attacker that their opinion matters. You show they have the power to shake you. Instead, respond with stillness or a calm question, why do you think that? And nothing more. You flip the spotlight. They become the one explaining, stumbling, retreating. You become the judge. They become the defendant. People will test your emotional walls. They poke to see where you bleed. Do not bleed. Do not give them the gift of your reaction. Your reaction is their reward. If you stay calm, if you are stone, they become unsure, anxious, and respectful. They cannot predict you. And unpredictability is power. Now understand this. If you become too unreadable, too cold, you may trigger fear, fear that leads people to attack. So you must blend. You must wear a mask. Not the mask people use to hide flaws, but a strategic mask that shows just enough humanity to disarm others. Share a small weakness occasionally. Ask for help you don't actually need. This lowers their guard. It makes you appear safe, approachable. The truth is still hidden behind the mask, where no one can reach it. The 90% believe being yourself is the highest virtue. But being yourself in every situation is emotional laziness. The Machiavellian adapts. He chooses the right version of himself based on the situation. Sometimes he is the lion, sometimes he is the fox. This is not being fake, this is being intelligent. Even parents put on a brave face for their children. It's not deception, it's responsibility. You must decide who to be based on what outcome you want. Adaptation is strength. And now we reach another truth, embracing your enemies. People fear enemies, but the wise person welcomes them. Friends hide your weaknesses to protect your feelings. Enemies expose them without mercy, and that exposure is information. Information you can use. Do not be upset when someone targets your flaws. Study their aim. They are revealing exactly where you need to grow. Conflict is a forge. Step into it. Sharpen yourself. Then comes time, the realm where the 90% lose themselves completely. The world has become addicted to immediacy, instant results, instant gratification. If they don't see progress in a week, they quit. If they don't feel good today, they stop. The Machiavellian thinks long-term. He is building a foundation while everyone else is chasing crumbs. He is willing to suffer now for power later. He is willing to wait, and waiting true patience is a form of strength few can master. The marshmallow test proves this. Most people take pleasure now, even if it destroys their future. The Machiavellian delays pleasure now to build a future others can't imagine. He plants trees he may never sit under, knowing the forest will belong to him or to those he chooses. That is legacy. Next, self-interest. Society teaches you that putting yourself first is selfish, that saying no is rude, that being unavailable is arrogant. This conditioning creates exhausted, resentful people who give everything and receive nothing. The Machiavellian rejects this lie. You cannot protect others if you are weak. You cannot give if you are empty. Prioritize your strength. Prioritize your mission. Prioritize your health. Only a full cup can pour. Say no without guilt. Protect your time. It is the only currency you can never earn back. And now, the final transformation, emotional alchemy. The 90% are ruled by emotions. Sadness stops them. Anger blinds them. Fear freezes them. They let feelings dictate actions. But the Machiavellian reverses it. He uses emotions as fuel. Anger becomes focus. Pain becomes transformation. Fear becomes preparation. Heartbreak becomes reinvention. Emotions are energy, high-voltage energy. Don't waste it, redirect it. When you master this, you stop being a prisoner of your biology. If you cannot be manipulated by your own emotions, no one else can manipulate you either. You become the ruler of your inner kingdom. And when all of these pieces come together, when you see the world clearly, when you control your words, when you wear the mask, when you use pressure to grow, when you control time, choose yourself, and direct your emotions, you do not become monstrous. You become sovereign, quiet, confident, different. You walk into a room and no longer need to prove anything. You see insecurity for what it is. You see manipulation for what it is. You see fear for what it is. You see the strings. You see the game. Most people drown in the storm. You walk on top of it. The path is lonely, yes. The air is thinner when you rise above the herd. But the view is worth everything. You become the author of your own story instead of a character in someone else's. Just remember, the moment you think you have mastered everything is the moment you risk falling back into the 90%. Arrogance is the trap. Stay a student. Stay sharp. Stay unseen when needed. Seen only when necessary. The door out of the cage is open. You've walked through it. Now, keep going.